Let's take a look at the analytics that's visible to us with Zscaler Digital Experience. So here I'm coming into the ZDX dashboard. I have two applications defined. One is public, my SharePoint Online, and the other is a private application, my Apache server. So I can apply some filters here, different departments, different locations, different countries, and whatever. And I can see the general ZDX score is hovering somewhere between 80% and 100%. And I can see the page fetch time overall for SharePoint. So let's click SharePoint and let's drill down specifically to this location. So this tells me I've got one active user, he's got two devices, and generally the ZDX score is good. So great information here already. I can see information here. I've got Mark Ryan, he's got a couple of different devices. So let's drill down onto M. Ryan, accessing SharePoint Online. So I've got a couple of devices. This one hasn't been used for a while. So I'm going to click specifically on my iMac. And it's going to tell me some details about the device, OS X Monterey, the hardware information, amount of memory, where my DNS servers are, and everything like that. And the fact that I'm using Client Connector in DTLS mode with zTunnel 2.0. Tells me information about my private IP, my public IP, connector versions. And so now I get a lot more information about the score over time, those probes, what was the page fetch time for SharePoint Online. This is the login page, the server response time, how long it took to resolve, so my local DNS resolver, and generally it was 100% available over that time. And so now we can drill down a bit further and we can see some information about my cloud path. So I come from my location, hit my default gateway with 1 millisecond, 4 milliseconds to the next hop, internet gateway. There are two other hops involved before we get to the Zscaler public service edge out of London, UK. And then 6 hops further, but only 1 millisecond because of our peering with Microsoft to get to Washington, United States for our SharePoint Online tenant. We can drill down, we can look at the command line view. And it'll tell us all of the path information, where those locations were, how our peering is working, and the connectivity through and the packet loss or anything associated with the entire cloud path to help us diagnose where any choke point or performance problem might exist, whether it's local, could be my Wi-Fi, could be my ISP, whether it's between the ISP and the Zscaler service edge, whether it's the Zscaler service edge itself or from the service edge to the application, or if it's the application itself, it might not be available or might not be available in all locations. We also get information about the device health, CPU, memory utilization, battery, disk read writes and everything that could affect the client-side performance. We do see a lot of problems where we do see a number of use cases where users access and applications are slow, but invariably it's because of problems on the endpoint before it's even egressed. That endpoint memory utilization or CPU utilization delays, for example, the DNS transaction or the browser rendering, which infer problems that the user perceives as the application or the network being slow, but actually it's something that's a lot more local to them. So let's take a look. Let's go and change this from our SharePoint Online and look at that Apache server. So we click Save on that and then Apply. So again, we're on our iMac. Tells us information here about this. The score for this was generally high, close to 100%. And it tells us information about the page fetch time. We did see some spikes earlier in the day, but they're generally 100% available, and the cloud path was good. So let's take a look at the hop view. And in this case, my client IP address 192.168.1.51, I'm using the private service edge that gives me universal ZTNA on-premise segmentation. So I'm connecting to that. That's segmenting my network and my applications. That's connecting to the app connector, or more specifically, the app connector is connecting to it to advertise those applications, and then the Apache website is running locally. So we're all sub-millisecond for the entire flow to access that private application. So I get really good connectivity, low latency connectivity, higher throughput, but I still get my zero trust segmentation occurring locally. It also, again, continues to give me information about the client-side performance in case there's anything client-side which is affecting the performance there. So with this, I've got good information about the applications. I've got information about the cloud path, whether they're using a private service edge or the public service edge to connect to applications. And I can get a generic and general drill down view into each of those applications and how they are performing.